The second part of the 5th season of Lucifer is about to come out, so here's a series recap. Let's go! Lucifer Morningstar, aka the Devil, after getting tired of ruling over hell, quits and opens up a club in LA with his most trusted demon, Mazikeen, or Maze for short. At that club, one of Lucifer's friends gets shot and killed, so he investigates in order to get revenge for that friend. And because of his powers of immortality and being able to convince people into spilling the tea on their darkest desires, his investigation was going well. But he is then arrested by Chloe Decker, an LAPD detective who is the mother of this girl, Trixie, and ex-wife to this other LAPD detective by the name of Dan. Anyways, Lucifer tries to tell Chloe that he's the devil, but she doesn't believe him and his powers don't work on her, so, well, there that goes. Lucifer and Chloe decide to solve the case together, which leads them to this therapist by the name of Linda, who Lucifer after the case goes to from time to time so he can better understand his growing human emotions for Chloe. All while Amenadiel, Lucifer's brother, tries everything in his power to get Lucifer back to hell, even if that means getting him killed. The rule that angels like Lucifer and Amenadiel can't kill humans, Amenadiel resurrects this crooked cop by the name of Malcolm to kill Lucifer for him. But Malcolm, after being in hell for so long, turned on Lucifer and Amenadiel, so they team up in order to stop him. While searching for Malcolm, Amenadiel gets stabbed with one of Maze's blades, which so far is the only thing that can kill the angels. You know, other than Lucifer being around Chloe while getting shot, stabbed, or poisoned. Anyways, Maze heals Amenadiel with a feather she took from Lucifer's wings before he tragically burned him, while Chloe and Lucifer head out to stop Malcolm, who has taken Trixie as a hostage. In an attempt to stop Malcolm, Lucifer gets shot and dies, but before he dies, he asks his father, aka God, for a favor, which is to give him the chance to protect Chloe, and in return, he will do something for his father. He is then sent to hell, sees that somebody has escaped from hell, and is resurrected in time to save Chloe. And after all this, Chloe still doesn't believe he's who he said he is. What the fuck? Anyways, it turns out that the person who escaped from hell was in fact their mother. In season 2, we meet Ella, a happy-go-lucky forensic scientist that helped Lucifer, Chloe, and Dan from time to time on the cases. But we were also introduced to Amenadiel and Lucifer's mother, after jacking the body of a recently murdered woman by the name of Charlotte Richards. Lucifer and Chloe help solve her murder, and she tells Lucifer that instead of God casting him out of heaven, she's the one who did it because God was planning to kill him, so she did it to protect him. With that story, Lucifer is convinced that he should let her stay on Earth instead of sending her back to hell like his father wanted, and is also convinced that her staying on Earth is a living hell for her, making this a loophole to the deal he made with his father. And because of this loophole, Lucifer's younger brother Uriel comes to take their mother's life. This wouldn't have been too bad, but Uriel planned on killing their mother with Azrael's blade, which is used by the angel of death, and upon killing somebody with it, immortal or not, they will be wiped out of existence instead of going to heaven or hell. With that news, Lucifer kills Uriel, ending his whole career. Before he dies, Uriel tells Lucifer something, but we don't know what it is. Feeling guilty for his brother's murder because, well, he murdered him, he shows his therapist Linda his devil face, which temporarily breaks her. While she was recovering, Amenadiel and Charlotte, aka Lucifer's mother, cook up a plan to take the three of them, including Lucifer, back to heaven, and maybe waging war while doing so. While trying to figure out a way back to heaven, Amenadiel and Charlotte find out that Chloe is a miracle child, which means that God put her in the path of Lucifer or vice versa. Anyway, Charlotte comes up with a plan to use Azrael's blade to rip open the gates of heaven so she could go home because she's dying. This leads Lucifer to finding one of the 3 pieces of Azrael's blade which is needed to complete the task. As it turns out, Uriel's last words to Lucifer were that the pieces of Azrael's blades were on Earth, and according to a text, the last piece of the blade belonged to God's favorite son, which turned out to be Amenadiel. And honestly, he needed this win because after torturing Lucifer in season 1, he lost his powers, and has been beating himself down ever since. After putting together the pieces of Azrael's blade, Lucifer opens a pocket dimension for his mother to rule over instead of going to heaven and waging war. After his mother leaves, Lucifer decides to show Chloe his devil face, but he's then knocked out by somebody and thrown into the desert, and he also has his wings back somehow. Season 3 starts with Lucifer returning from the desert with his new wings, and the LAPD getting a new detective by the name of Marcus Pierce. He's a dick. Anyways, the real Charlotte is back now, even though the real Charlotte's soul should be in hell since she died before Lucifer's mother took over her body.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
She becomes a prosecutor so she can turn over a new leaf and avoid going to hell. In the meantime, Amenadiel and Linda get together. Moving on, the person who threw Lucifer into the desert last season was a crime boss by the name of the Sinner Man. And while investigating the Sinner Man, Lucifer finds out that the new lieutenant Marcus Pierce is actually Cain, a man cursed by God with immortality after killing his own brother Abel. And he's also trying to get close to Chloe so he can become vulnerable like Lucifer does and die. Lucifer then agrees to help murder Cain and asks Amenadiel for help, but Amenadiel says no because he's the one who cursed Cain in the first place. After trying a bunch of ways to kill Cain, including resurrecting his brother Abel, Cain turns back into repeatedly sliding into Chloe's DMs. And you know what? It actually works. Cain falls in love with Chloe and his curse is lifted. But after the curse is finally lifted, he no longer wants to die and actually wants the curse back. That being said, Cain tries to kill Amenadiel in order to get his curse back, but Charlotte was there and protects Amenadiel and dies instead. Amenadiel then grows his wings back and flies Charlotte to heaven. Lucifer, Chloe, Dan, and Ella find out that Marcus, aka Cain, killed Charlotte and is the real Sinner Man. In an attempt to stop him, Lucifer kills Cain even though angels are not allowed to kill humans, and Chloe sees his devil face. In season 4, Chloe has been out of town for a couple of months figuring out a way to kill Lucifer with the help of this guy by the name of Father Kinley, but she changes her mind when she realizes that Lucifer is basically Wreck-It Ralph.
You are a bad guy, but this does not mean you're bad guy.
But Father Kenley really wants Lucifer dead because of a prophecy that says, when the devil walks the earth and finds his first love, evil shall be released. And that brings us to Eve, who basically left heaven because she was bored and wanted to be with Lucifer again. While Eve and Lucifer get back together, we found out that Linda is pregnant with Amenadiel's baby. While Amenadiel is contemplating if he should take the baby up to heaven or not, Lucifer spirals out of control and becomes the real devil. He then realizes that he's changing because of Eve and breaks up with her, which, I'm not gonna lie, broke my heart. But him doing so actually brings the prophecy into fruition, because it turns out that Eve is so obsessed with Lucifer that she does everything she can in order to get him back, including but not limited to making out with Maze and summoning a demon into a human body. Her plan was to convince the demon to convince Lucifer to go back to hell with her so she can rule by his side for all eternity. And it would have worked, but Lucifer had no intention of going back to hell, which the demons didn't like because they need a leader, and that leader needs to be angel, or half angel, which is the case for Amenadiel and Linda's baby, who's a half angel named Charlie. And since Lucifer refused to go back to hell with them, they steal Charlie in order to make him their new king. With that, Amenadiel, Eve, Maze, and Lucifer go to stop them, and everything was going their way until the rest of the demons came out, so Lucifer has to Hulk out and command the demons to go back to hell, and so they did. And with that, Lucifer saves the day. Maze is in love with Eve, and Eve leaves to figure herself out, leaving Maze high and dry. Lucifer and Chloe get a chance to talk. Chloe confesses her love for Lucifer, and Lucifer tells her that he feels the same way, but he then leaves to rule over hell so the demons don't rebel. Okay, so I neglected to mention this, but there's this guy that shows up at the beginning of every season by the name of Lee. At the beginning of every season, he's usually naked, or Lucifer's naked. In season 5, he gets murdered, and that's where we pick up with Chloe, Ella, and Maze investigating his murder, while Lucifer down in hell is also investigating his murder. With Lee's help, Lucifer realizes that he's making a mistake by staying in hell, so he comes back up to LA to save Chloe. That's not Lucifer, but it's actually his twin brother named Michael. After Michael messes with the gang, Amenadiel tells Lucifer, and Lucifer comes back to Earth to stop Michael. Lucifer and Michael get into a fight, and Michael reveals to Lucifer that almost every bad thing that has happened to Lucifer was actually due to his manipulation. On a side note, Amenadiel tells Lucifer that God spoke to him and nobody needs to rule over hell anymore. Anyways, after Dan sees Lucifer's devil face, Michael convinces him to kill Lucifer if he ever wants to go to heaven to see Charlotte, who he's madly in love with and hasn't gotten over ever since her death. That night, Lucifer and Chloe finally do the nasty but before they could go for round 2, Dan comes in and shoots Lucifer. But luckily, it turns out that Lucifer is invulnerable even around Chloe now. While Lucifer was distracted with getting revenge on Dan, Chloe gets kidnapped while investigating a serial killer. Lucifer then starts to look for Chloe with the help of Maze and Ella. Speaking of poor Ella, she got a new boyfriend who turns out to be the serial killer Chloe was investigating before she was kidnapped by Michael, whose real plan we don't find out. But he wants to tear apart Chloe and Lucifer as well as his friends. He also turns Maze against Lucifer by promising her a soul. This works because Maze can't seem to hold a relationship, which she blames on not having a soul, so she can't find a soulmate. Get it? Cause soulmate, you need to have a soul to...
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay. Anyways, Amenadiel and Lucifer go up against Michael and Maze while time is frozen for reasons unknown because their father shows up to stop the fight. And yeah, that's it.
If you enjoyed that video and want to see more like it, leave a like and subscribe. Adios.